A lot of passionate readers talk about Brandon Sanderson and his books, some even praising his works as masterpieces of fantasy. So I had to see for myself, experience just what causes all this clamor. Thus, the Mistborn Trilogy was my starting point into the long journey of the cosmere. After finishing the story, I understand and agree wholeheartedly with how good a writer Sanderson is and how amazingly enthralling his stories are. I've read stories about hard and soft magic systems, yet nailing exactly why my preference lay with the first still eluded me. It may not always be so, but forcing constant rules and laws to the inner workings of magic forces the writer to become more creative with the flow of fight sequences and more careful lest they write themselves in a corner only escapable through contrivance or divine intervention. After all, if there is an unbreakable preset of laws, even the slightest unexplained power-up will immediately become glaringly contrived. In Mistborn, there is none of that. The plot, magic, and world-building are incredibly consistent and believable, and I cannot bring to mind a single instance where I thought some aspects of it did not make sense. Allomancy is quite simple. Each metal attributes the user with a specific ability. Therefore, to make one triumph over the other, it is necessary to demonstrate how well each user can employ the various abilities, and the diverse fight scenes do exactly that. Sometimes victory is achieved by clever usage of pushing and pulling, and feints and psychological warfare play a huge part in determining the survivor. The story takes place in a world where ash constantly falls from the sky, the sun is red, and unnatural mists come at night. The final empire is the land ruled by its god emperor, the Lord Ruler, where slavery is deeply ingrained in the livelihood of the Ska and the noblemen who enforce such treatment. It's in this extreme world where the story partakes in the discussion of philosophical questions such as the price of morality, the influences and importance of religion, and the consequences of freedom attained through violence. More mundane problems, such as childhood trauma, are also deeply and delicately explored in the interactions between characters and how the lasting scars of abuse affect one's view of the world and the prospects of life. Most importantly, the narrative ponders and demonstrates these notions, while never assuming a preachy tone or seeking to lecture the reader about what is right or wrong. It respects and trusts the audience to have an independent interpretation of the story portrayed. One way to judge how well realized characters are is to ask yourself if you care about them. Experiencing powerful emotions like happiness, relief, frustration, and sadness can also show how deeply involved the reader is with the world and characters established. I felt all of that amidst the sacrifices, victories, losses, despair, and hope this story painted throughout its volumes. The characters are intriguing, deep, relatable, and the culmination of their arc was brought to reality in a manner that honors the hardships and struggles endured along the way. It's also worthy of praise how seamlessly every plotline was tied into such a beautiful finale, which managed to incorporate one of the main themes of the story: hope. With such compelling characters, escalatingly dire plot, peculiar world, and the ability of Sanderson to tie all of it together into a beautiful whole, reading the Mistborn Trilogy is something that I recommend to every fan of the fantasy genre. It is my first introduction to cosmere, and I can confidently say it was worth every second I spent immersed in it.